All right, hello, observational drawing. I am making a series of videos on still life. I'm going to start with just how we look at the still life, pick a composition, and then I'm going to talk about different techniques that we can use to help us see the still life. So for our first still life assignment, we're just going to try to draw everything that we see from our position in the drawing. This requires that we prepare by really studying the still life, studying what we're seeing, and figuring out whether we're going to draw in portrait or landscape orientation. The easiest way to do that is to use a viewfinder. I like to draw crosshairs on my viewfinders so that you can look through the viewfinder and figure out what looks best. So here's the still life in portrait orientation. If I turn the viewfinder, I can see what it looks like in landscape orientation. And with this particular setup, I think it doesn't look very good in landscape orientation because we end up with a lot of unused negative space. If you wanted to draw in the cabinets and such, that would be okay, but it's not really interesting. So I think it makes much more sense to draw in portrait orientation. So this way I can get all of the figures in. We can zoom in a little bit more if you don't want so much of the background to show. And then you can use your crosshairs on the viewfinder to help you figure out how you're going to lay this out on your page. So hopefully at the point when you're seeing this video, we have already talked about making your drawing proportional to the picture plane. So I know that we're going to be drawing on a piece of paper that is about 18 by 24, if not actually 18 by 24. So I've drawn a box that is 3 by 4, which is proportional to that. So this is 3 inches by 4 inches. And I've drawn crosshairs on the box, and I've tried to replicate as closely as possible what I see when I look through the viewfinder. I've tried to replicate that on the paper, on my sketchbook. So this is my initial study where I'm really seeing and paying attention not only to how these objects look, but how they line up next to each other. So the next step from here, once I've done this, is just have a general idea. It's not perfect. For example, we can see in the drawing that the blue vase looks way too skinny. It's not like that in real life. It's a little plumper. But this still gives us a general idea. Notice how I have filled the box. I don't have a lot of unused negative space. I didn't just draw the objects teeny weeny, like if this were the candle holder, the vase, the jug, and the pharaoh on the cube. Like this is not a good composition, right? There's a lot of unused negative space. There's no point to this, quite frankly. It's a waste of space. So if we use the viewfinder so that we can zoom in, we use the crosshairs to help orient ourselves. We can do a little study. I ended up cropping the cube out a little bit, unfortunately. So that means I'm going to have to try a little bit harder when I lay it out on the big paper. But from here, I can more easily move to the large paper. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be drawing crosshairs on this so that I can, again, kind of lay out all of the figures on the large piece of paper. It won't be perfect, but it will be close enough. All right, I'm going to pause here to do that, and I'll come back and show you once I have a little bit more on the paper.